If you were devoted to this podcast, you would drink the eggs. It's all protein. You might get salmonella. Are you going to really drink that?
I mean, yeah, I can't even. It's disgusting.
Let me try it. I like cage-free.
Welcome to another episode of SOS VHS. Today, we have actor, musician, and podcaster Michael Rosenbaum, and we're talking about his favorite movie, Rocky. First of all, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for dressing up like a beat-up Rocky after the 8th round against Clubber Lang.
Indeed. So for those who haven't seen Rocky, would you mind giving me a summary of Rocky, maybe on Rocky's voice, since you can do...
Look, I wrote Rocky like in 1974 or something like that, and I said, look, I'm going to play this role. And I had a dog. I had to sell the dog to survive. Later on, I bought my dog back. But so I sold the script, and they were like, look, we want an actor who's better than you. And he said, well, I ain't going to give you the script.
Indeed.
Anyway,
yeah.
So the story, and the story is, it's one of the greatest stories of all time. It's an inspirational story about a guy in Philadelphia who is just like, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't have a lot of discipline. He doesn't have a lot of, doesn't have a lot of luck. He's broke. He's sort of a. Can you say Goomba? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, I think
I'm Sicilian. I'll allow it.
No, I just don't know. Is that the word for he beats people up on the side? He works for loan sharks.
Yeah, muscle.
Yeah,
and to make money, and and the champ is coming into town to fight at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and the fighter he was going to fight was hurt, so he wasn't prepared, so he couldn't do it. So he's like, "What are we going to do?" So he gives a nobody a 1 in a million chance. He just picks a name. He goes, I like this. Look at this. The Italian stallion, Rocky Balboa. Let's choose that guy. And it's just kind of a lottery, a lucky moment that he gives a nobody a chance at the title to fight him, Apollo Creed. And the whole story is him, trying to fall in love with this girl who's really shy, works in a pet store, and her crazy Polish brother. And it's a love story. It's a underdog story. I mean, I used to, my friend Chris and I would, when I was shooting Smallville, if they said you had about 4 hours, we would turn on Rocky and we would just be in our robes, because Rocky was, like the Rocky robe.
Uh-huh.
And we would just watch it and just that, I'm telling you, I was listening in the car. I was listening to the Rocky soundtrack to get prepared for this.
Yeah.
And fly, the soundtrack, Flying High Now.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do. And I'm telling.
Sorry.
I got chills. I got a little teared up. The soundtrack, Bill Conti, brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's one of the brilliant movies of all time. And anybody who says Rocky's one of your favorite movies, I'm like, I could watch it anytime. It's inspiring. The acting's great. Stallone is fantastic. I just love the movie. I think if you haven't seen Rocky, you really need to sit down. Great quotes. A lot of great quotes in the movie.
So why did you connect it with this movie? Why is this?
Because I'm a loser. All right? I'm a loser. I connected with Rocky. Because we're all, in a way, we're underdogs. Most people are underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to root for somebody who's down and out, who doesn't have much, and is given a chance and takes advantage of that opportunity. And so when I watched it, I see myself as this little kid from Indiana who wasn't supposed to amount to anything. And, I did it. I somehow got out of there and had some success. And it was a 1 in a million shot as well.
Yeah.
I mean, no one thought if you went back town, they'd say, hey, Michael Rosenbaum, you know him? You remember him? No. Well, I don't. Never went to a dance or prom or anything like that. I was the shortest kid in my school. I've told that story a million times.
But
I could relate. So
you went the distance.
I like those underdog stories. They don't make
Right.
them like they used to. Now it's a lot of fluff, and you need tons of CGI. But really, all you need, my friend, Andres from Spain, bienvenidos a los Estados Unidos. You need a good story. You need a character that someone's rooting for, and a good story, and you're good. And that's all you really need.
When do you remember when you saw it for the first time?
When I saw Rocky for the
Yeah.
first time, yeah. It was in the theater, and I was a little boy. And I remember after the credits came up, and, they had the Rocky soundtrack, and he's like, Adrian, I did it.
Right.
I'm just in tears, man. As a kid, it just connected with me. By the way, my podcast, Inside of You. with Mike
Love your
Rosenbaum.
podcast. So
Do you really?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, continue about Rocky, because I could talk about Rocky forever.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about Rocky. I'll play a little devil's advocate because it won 10. It was nominated for 10 Academy Awards,
Best
right?
screenplay, I think.
It won.
Did it?
It won script, picture, and director.
Yeah, best picture.
That's the year
Albertson?
of Taxi Driver. That's the year like All the President's Men.
Yeah.
Like Scorsese, like one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yep.
Do you think that Rocky is better than Taxi Driver?
To me, yes.
Okay.
To me, it is. It's just because I think that movie builds, and if you watch it, it goes from sort of, it just feels different than the others. I mean, it's a guy in this town, and the great thing about Philadelphia back then, the way they shot it, you just can feel where he lives.
Yeah.
In the bad part of town, you could feel it. It's a character on its own.
Yeah.
And all the characters, the actors, the guys that are singing by the fire, take it back. Do 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 do, take it back.
Right.
That's Frank Stallone, his brother. He cast his brother as
Had a lot of
yeah,
cameos from his family and all that.
yeah. But it's to me. I mean, those are great movies you're talking about. But to me, Rocky just stands out. When a Taxi Driver's on, I don't want to. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to sit through Taxi Driver. It's a slow burn. It's a great movie. Obviously, people will kill me for this. But Rocky is just like, what's going to happen at the end, and you want to be inspired again. You want to feel that energy. You want to take that journey with him again.
Fair enough. So when I feel like I love the movie growing up. When I watch it, I rewatch it for this,
Right.
and realize a little bit of like, wait. On one hand, it feels like it wants to be this gritty film, right? Like it's so this, like you say, like this Philadelphia, this underdog, this whole thing. But on the other hand, had this huge Hollywood Cinderella story. Like she meets the kind of like the ugly duck girl who, like, after a kiss, she doesn't need glasses anymore.
Wait, are you saying it was pretentious?
I'm not sure if it's pretentious. It's just, it feels like it wants
Two
to go
movies?
both ways. Yeah, it wants to be like the gritty, like
I don't think so. I think what it does is it's juxtaposed. So the beginning, it feels like that. It feels very dirty and sloppy and indie, very indie.
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, as he starts to get more confidence, and we get into the champs world, Apollo Creed, it creates a show because Apollo Creed is a showman, right?
Right.
And so it becomes a spectacle. But he's still that guy around the spectacle. So we look and we see it's big and lights and beautiful, and it just turns it. And he's still that guy, and it works for me because I think it's a journey again. And so that I didn't feel that way at all. I think you're completely fucked.
Cool. So when Apollo Creed is like, this is great business. This is really smart.
Yep.
Do you think that that's really smart in the business of you think picking up, like, if you go to Vegas to see like a big championship, if someone picks up a random person?
Well, let me tell you this. If Conor McGregor said any UFC fighter out there who's trying, who thinks he's tough enough, I'm going to pick someone. I'm going to review tapes of a nobody, and I'm going to give you a shot at fighting me. Everybody and their mother would watch that.
You think?
Everybody.
Okay.
You know why they don't do it?
Why?
Because they fear the underdog's got nothing to lose, and you don't want to fight somebody that's got nothing to lose. And Rocky, nothing to lose. Well, you ain't got nothing to lose.
So
Got everything.
the legend says that he wrote the script right in 3 days. Like, he was like, so fight, wrote the script in 3 days. Like you said, like
Yep.
he tried to get it made. Nobody wanted him as a star in it.
Yeah.
Until, you know, you had to make it under a certain budget.
Yep.
You feel a little bit the budget restraints in some of stuff of the movie, but it still like makes it through. Like, you know, the reviews are amazing. Like he's the new Marlon Brando. And then, I mean, his career was nothing like Rocky, right? Like, I mean, he succeeded at the box office, but this like Marlon Brando thing disappeared. He gets nominated for 1,000,000 Razzie Awards.
Right.
What do you think of Stallone's like career after
Well,
that?
I got lucky enough to work with him in Guardians 2 and Guardians 3.
Right.
And I had a blast with them, and they say never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I'm glad I met him.
Yeah.
He signed my Rambo lunchbox. He says, "You have a lunchbox? You want me to sign you? How old are you? Yeah, you guys got a lunchbox. I'll sign it, man. But I'll sign it. But like, you got something going on with you over there."
Right.
I think that he's had an extraordinary career, and he turned into an action star.
Right.
But then sometimes he'd do movies like Copland, or he'd do movies that you go, "Oh, he can act." There's a scene in Rambo, and that was the beginning of his career too.
Yeah.
But that scene,
First Blood.
First Blood, where he should have won an Oscar for that, because that moment where he goes, "Rocky, it's over. Nothing is over. You don't just shut it off. You called me, I didn't call you." And he does this whole thing in the kid.
Yeah.
The kid, and he's like crying. I'm like, oh my God, it's raw, it's real. I'm like, wow, this guy's good. He's got the chops. He's always had the chops. But when someone's giving you $20 million to make Rocky 2 and Rocky 3 and Rocky 4,
Yeah.
which we all loved, it's, you got to do it. But I think, I'm watching Tulsa King. It's his new show.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I will say, man, he's good. He's an actor. Like, there's a scene in the very beginning where he comes in and he's been in prison for 25 years, and they're kind of treating him like shit, the guys that he went to prison for.
Right.
And I was kind of fearful of him. Like, he's like, why do you got to have these guys behind me? I don't want these fucking guys behind me. Like, because he walks into a room, he doesn't trust them. He goes, "You sit the fuck down," and I'm like, he's got like that. He has it. He has the ability. He took a different career path.
Yeah.
No one can be Brando. Right. I mean, I don't know. I love Brando. I don't know if Brando's my favorite actor of all time. I think Gary Oldman's my favorite actor of all time.
Yeah. I mean, amazing actor.
I love Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, I think it's incredible, right? He was completely broke here. He becomes an action star, and
yeah,
he can write. He can do a lot of different things. And then sometimes you see him and it's like, oh, and he can actually act.
Yeah.
I think most of the movies is like he puts up front of like whatever, this is a movie star and that's it. But then even Creed, you see him lie there. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's like a lot of actors. I'm not going to mention them, and some that I love.
Yeah.
That, they do some brilliant movies. And you're like, oh my God, that's that comedy. It's one of the funniest comedies of all time.
Right.
They have more money than God. And you think, just wait for the next great script. But they want to, I guess they like working with their friends, or and they just pump out these movies, and the movies are just not good. They're just like, oh my God. But that they have it in them. You know that they've already, sometimes people say, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Shyamalan?
Yeah, Shyamalan.
Shyamalama. Do-up, the duty.
Yeah.
He made Signs, which I loved.
Yeah.
He made Sixth Sense, which I freaking loved. I liked The Village. I liked, what was the other one? There's another good one we're missing.
Like maybe like more recent movies, like The Visit or...
No, but he made 4 great movies, and then...
Oh, you missing the...
Unbreakable?
Unbreakable? Unbreakable was okay, but there was another one. But look, Signs, Sixth Sense, I mean... These are awesome movies.
Yeah.
And now people are like, oh, he sucks. He can't make a good movie.
Right.
But he gave us brilliance.
Yeah.
To make a good movie is so rare. To make a great movie is rare. To make a movie that stands the test of time is fucking rare.
Possible.
And he did a couple of those.
Yeah.
So you got to give credit. I mean, he's a great director. The projects haven't been right. He did a movie called Old, which was just unwatchable.
Yeah.
But to me, he could easily do a movie and all of a sudden, boom, he's back. And everybody's like, oh my God.
Right.
So he's got it in him. It's just got to, I don't know why people don't wait for the right script, because you've got all these brilliant writers.
I mean, I feel like also people
They want to work.
they want to work and they want to do something better, more complicated, bigger than before. So it's like, how do you top Sixth Sense? You can't. Then like, it's a
Story.
script that is
Find something with a good story. Look, I'm not.
The twist.
I'm not a know-it-all here. I'm just saying,
No,
story. Rocky is story. It's a great story.
Is that how you like treat your career? Like, are you
Look, I wrote a movie that wasn't really a great script. I wrote it because I had to hurry up because another movie I was going to direct, they took the money, half the money, and so I was like, shit. My DP, director of photography, was like, what do we do?
Right.
He goes, do you have anything written about your small town? And I was like, yeah, I got this like stupid thing I wrote. It was like the first script I wrote. And he read it, he goes, let's just do this. And we shot it for nothing in Indiana where I grew up. And I thought, I'll just break the ice. I'll sort of, I'll learn a lot from this.
Yeah.
And I did. But, after that, now the next thing I want to direct, or, I'm trying to write something that has more substance. I like horror movies, but I also like thrillers and documentaries. So I'm working on a couple things that I think have that weight to them. And I'm like, hey, this is good. You don't have to write the best thing ever. You just have to write something that's compelling, that you like the characters, you believe them.
Right.
And, so I'm just trying to take, my movie back in the day was a raunchy comedy. So I'm like, okay, that was step one. Step two now. Let's go to step two. A better script, better movie, and
you
work your way up.
Direct it, act on it, everything.
No, I'll never do that again. That was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It's just being in every scene and directing your first movie, and you're in your hometown, so all your friends are showing up to set.
Yeah.
I thought I would die.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I'm driving. Actually, my friend Tom and Deneen are my best friends. I hired them as associate producers and my assistants to help me. And we're driving in Indiana one morning. It's like 5:30 a.m. and I'm just like this in the back. I'm telling you, beyond and another level of tired.
Yeah.
And my friend Deneen goes, it's going to be such a great day, blah, blah, blah. And she's looking straight ahead. She's in the passenger seat. Tom's driving. I'm in the back. And they go, all right, don't you feel great? And I just go, it took every bit of energy to say, I think I should go to the hospital. She's like, you're funny. But if she would have turned around and saw how tired I was.
Right.
I was living off like Ambien. I was like, I was on another level.
Yeah. And what about in your acting career? Do you feel like that need of working constantly, or like, because you have so many creative outlets, right?
Yeah.
Your podcast, your band.
I was in love with acting for a long time, and I did it for so long, and I would always do favors for friends and this and that. And I'm sure I've asked my favors.
Right.
But I think I got to a point where I was like, I just need a break. I want to try something else. So I got into the podcast world, which I fell in love with. It took a long time. I was just talking to the guys about this, George, and telling them, even if you're a huge celebrity, you get a podcast, it's not a slam dunk.
Of course not. Yeah.
And you got to get people to listen. And how do you get people to listen? And nobody was listening to my fucking podcast in the beginning. I was going to quit 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And then I started to open up and be vulnerable and real and talk about mental health and self-deprecating and my dysfunctional life and family. And that's when people started to go, oh. And I started to ask questions because I'm a fan. I was going to horror conventions before I was anybody.
Right.
So I would ask them, like, James Gunn, who's the head of DC. I just said, James, what's the difference between Marvel and DC? I mean, what is the difference? Like, questions that, like, people who don't really know a lot, or I don't want it to be like that people are beneath me. I want to ask questions that a fan would ask, someone who doesn't really know the business. Yeah. Someone who does know the business, but also get deep and personal and talk about, what are you doing for your mental health? Like, what do you do? How do you get anxiety? Well, what do you do with that? What do you take meds? Kristen Bell talks about that. She takes meds and I do. Yeah, you get and people just open up
and so many interesting people too.
I love it. Yeah. It's just it's important. J.K. Simmons was on with his brother talking about how his brother almost killed himself a few times. Cool. And it was just like, it's not all so serious, but sometimes I get serious for a while. Right. And you never know where it's going to go.
So you're thinking now more like acting takes a backseat through your...
Not well. I'm starting to feel it again. I'm starting to feel like, okay,
Itch.
there's a project I wrote that the guy who's producing it said, "Would you want to act in this?" I go, "I want to sell this. I want to make this. And if the studio wants me to do it, I would act in it. I would play this part. I wrote it for me, but I don't have to. I could cater it towards anybody.
Yeah.
To anyone. So I don't care about that. I want to make cool
Want to have your own Rocky? You want to write and act? Get a good director?
That would be fun to try and write an underdog story. Because there's a lot of them, but
Right.
I wouldn't want to box because I'd have to get in shape. And I'm 50. It's too late. It's too late. Do I look 50?
No, you don't.
48.
Yeah, 49.
That's what I was going to say. I'm never going to turn 50, by the way. I'm going to be 40-10,
Right, you're not
40-11,
gonna be like Bobby Lee.
40-12, 40-13. Bobby Lee. How old is Bobby Lee?
50. He's turning 52.
Is he?
Yeah.
Terrible. No, he looks great.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you about this later, but since we're talking about him, how did you get involved with like kicking it old school?
Oh, boy. Kicking it old school. I was doing Smallville, and my good buddy Phil Glasser said, "Hey, there's this funny movie with Jamie Kennedy." This was years ago.
Right.
And I read the script, and I go, "Wow, this is kind of fun." Mm-hmm. Funny enough, the guy who was the director of photography
Yeah.
shot Rocky. He was the DP for Rocky. I think the DP. I think he was the DP.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I go, you know what? It's my off time. I'm bald. I'm bald all the time. I'll get some fuzz on my hair, on my head, on my hair, and I'll do it. It'll be fine. And the movie didn't do well.
Yeah.
But it also didn't look great. That's the problem. To me, it just looked like shit.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean,
It looked like
said,
whoa! It looked like it was whoosh, And I don't know what maybe the budget was too low, but we had a great time. There were some funny moments. But I was joking with Jamie Kennedy. I told him this. I was on set. I always tell the story because it's funny. But Miguel Nunez, we're talking. I go, Jamie's on set. And I go, "Hey, Jamie, I'm never doing another Jamie Kennedy movie."
Right.
And Miguel Nunez goes, "Man, Jamie Kennedy never doing another Jamie Kennedy movie."
Right.
And I always thought that was funny.
Uh-huh.
But it was a passion project for him, and good for him for making it. Look, it's hard. If something fails, you shouldn't look at it as a complete failure because you got it made.
Yeah.
Because most movies don't get made.
Yeah.
So it is a success
Yeah, I
story.
try not to be very critical, even with the movies that I don't like, because I
I'm
know
critical.
how hard it is
I know.
to make it. And it's so
hard, but there's so many bad movies.
It's like
really bad.
most of them, especially today, is like...
As long as something's enjoyable,
Yeah.
I'm okay. If there's a couple of really funny moments, I'm cool.
Right.
But if you watch a horror movie, and here's the problem, there's got to be something wrong with Rotten Tomatoes. I think the studio, there's something going on.
There's inflation in the...
No, because they're like 95%.
I know.
And all this, and you're like watching this, and you're like, and then the audience score is 47%.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot.
It happens all the time.
Happens all the
I don't look at them anymore because
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, I wrote down some quotes
From Rocky?
from Rocky.
Okay.
And also why it works is because like those underdog stories I was telling you about, like movies like Invincible with Marky Mark, the football story,
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, Wahlberg makes a lot of good movies. He's made some shit, but that guy's made some good.
He can do both.
Boogie Nights, Invincible, Shooter,
The Departed.
The Departed. I mean,
Right.
Was he in The Departed?
Yeah. He has
He's great.
brilliant...
People love watching him. I love watching him.
Yeah, but he also has the other...
But then The Happening.
Yeah,
You ever see
yeah.
The Happening?
And that's a Shyamalan movie.
Oh boy.
That's
It
what
was
I'm saying. Like, it gets so complicated. It's like, okay, and people are going to be scared of plants. Like, he wants to... And he's a great director, but that's too much.
It's funny. After that
It's too
movie,
big.
my friend was with me, and I go, "That was the worst." He goes, "No, I thought it was okay." I just smacked him. And he goes, "What the fuck?" I go, "No, you got it." I just went,
It is
"You
a
get
bad
smacked."
movie.
That was bad.
Yeah.
All right, the best quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the morning after a fight, you're like a large wound. You know what I mean? Sometimes I got pains all over me. I feel like calling a taxi to take me from bed into the bathroom. Cut me, Mick. If I change, you can change. Everybody can change. That's from, I think, Rocky IV. What are you, Paulie? What do I owe? Oh, wait. Oh, that's her. Remember when she goes, what do I owe you, Paulie? What do I owe you? I treat you good. I cook for you. I clean for you. I pick up, and you made me feel like a loser. I'm not a loser. I love that fucking thing.
she's great. She's Talia Shire, right?
Talia Shire.
She was on The Godfather like a few years before that. Nominated for an Oscar. Great. Nominated here too.
You know what the best quote in that is?
What?
When he walks the young girl who's smoking.
Yeah.
You know, makes you bad, makes your breath stink. Get that out of here. And he starts pontificating and like, this, man, you want to do this. And he takes her, walks over and goes, hey, Rock. He goes, yeah. He goes, screw you, creepo. And then he walks off. And the best thing is the music kind of plays sad music. And he goes, yeah, she's right. What do I know about it? Talking to himself as he walks away like this loser. It's stuff like that makes that movie so good.
Yeah, and I feel like I also, because I grew up watching it, and it's like one of those movies where like, okay, they got the wrong short, so he just wrote a line about it, or like the thing the rope was too big, so he wrote it. So he included every production thing into the script, so it feels like it's on purpose. And I thought, okay, that's a great indie movie technique. It's never shy away from you just incorporate it, and it's someone else screwed up, so that's it.
Do you remember when he goes to in Rocky, he finds out he's going to be the fighter, and no wait, he goes to Mick for help because he wants to fight. This is before.
That's before he gets
before
the
Apollo
chance.
Creed before he gets a chance. And Mick says, "Yeah, you're a bum. You're wasted. You're not." Yeah, and he slams the door, and or he wouldn't help him.
He wouldn't help him, so he walks away.
Right,
it's a living, like.
Right, but then when he hears about he goes, "Hey, I want to show you something. When I was that's
the best scene in the movie.
It's the best scene. Yeah, and he shows him. You can tell he's trying to because he's desperate.
He wants his shot.
Goes, I could train you. I could train you. Where were you, Mick? Remember I'm a tomato or something like that. I don't know what he says.
Right,
and then he walks off, and then or Mick walks off. Right.
Yeah. This is.
Is this you got that? Mick walks off and Rocky runs up to him and goes, "Hey, look," and you don't know what they say.
Right, but that's also what I have a problem with that scene because, like, I think that scene is so powerful, right? And then he basically says no to him, right? It's like, no, you weren't here for me. I'm not gonna. But then, so that would be the gritty, like, indie movie. But then it has the Hollywood moment where, like, oh, he runs back, he forgets it, right? He forgets.
I love it because he's like. He knows he's an old man.
Right.
He knows he's this, and he still likes Mick, and he knows he needs him. And he runs after him. He says, I like that we don't know what he says. He probably says something like this. He goes, yeah, Mick, look, I'm sorry about that. Look, you want to train me? Let's do this. Let's forget about that.
It's like a big heart.
All right. Let's Took 10 years to come to my house, huh? What's the matter? You don't like my house? My house stink? That's right. It stinks. And I didn't ask for no favors from you. Don't fool around with me. He says, talking about your prime. What about my prime, Mick? At least you had a prime. And it's all against the door, right? When he's not there.
Like, yeah.
What about my prime? At least you had a prime. Guy comes up off of me as a fight. Big deal. Want to fight the fight? Yeah, I'll fight the big fight. I wouldn't want to fight the big fight. I'm going to go fight that big fight. He goes on and on.
Right.
I love it. That's good. You want me to sign that?
Yep.
Why is it burnt here? What the fuck are you doing?
That's like, after the plane crash on this island, all my papers are all burned out.
Should I go to Spain?
You should. So I would say the fun part of Europe is the south, and the serious part of Europe is the north, the central north. If you go to Germany or the, northern countries.
France, Amsterdam, Ireland, I've been there.
Yeah. So like Portugal, Spain, Italy. I would include France in this as the fun.
Beautiful.
They're all beautiful.
Is Spain beautiful?
Yeah.
Where would you go? Like, listen, I'm a little commercial. I don't want to be lost in translation. Where do I go?
Then you go to Madrid or Barcelona.
Would that be? But I don't like cities, big cities.
I mean, the thing is,
I like a little countryside.
Globalization is real now, and I think like in most places you can get by with English.
All right.
I would say Italy is the most beautiful country. It's like so tiny
they're gonna kill you back in Spain.
I know. But Spain is really is beautiful too, and again, Spain is the size of California, so you can. Europe is so tiny that you can go around pretty easily.
Do you know that song? No, I've never been to Spain.
No, who wrote that?
I kind of like the music.
Right. You should definitely go to Spain. You should go to my hometown. It's like in the northwest. It's a small town.
How long did it take you to put that outfit on?
No.
The makeup? guys?
Yeah, I like pretty fast. But
Pretty
yeah,
fast?
Yeah, I do it for, like I said, amusement of my colleagues.
Let me hear your Stallone.
Oh my, Adrian. No, I can barely speak English.
Look, I want you to go deeper when you're doing it. Like no, in the back of your throat, like right here in your chest.
Okay.
No, you're breathing heavy. Now you sound like a mouse.
I can't do it.
That end of that.
Can't do it.
Like that. How you doing?
How you doing?
Okay, that's better. Look, you Adrian.
You Adrian.
Okay, well, you sound sick.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fighting with my English still, so
Your English is good.
Thank you.
I think you have a nice.
Yeah, people are
English.
asking for subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't understand what he says.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of fans?
I think I borrow a lot of like the Bad Friends fans.
Really?
Yeah, because of
That's probably a good following.
it's a good following.
Good for you. Can I borrow some of them?
You can now you can.
That'd be nice.
But I mean, I think like it's funny because I feel like the Bad Friends, they want to be like you, they want to be in movies and then TV. They are now, but
Yeah.
like, you have a
They're doing
pretty
great.
cool career.
I'm not worried about them.
Do you want
The Bad Friends are doing good.
Yeah,
doing well.
a good one.
Yeah, and they're nice guys too. I've always liked both of them. They're really good guys.
So
Bobby Lee, man.
yeah,
You know what he told me once?
what?
He was talking about his Korean name.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was. I'm just gonna make something up. It was like Ontake.
Yeah,
And I said, "What's mine?" He goes, "Suck dick Jew."
yeah, that sounds like Bobby Lee.
It was on
The only
my
person who
podcast.
can
It was so funny.
get
I was
away from
dying.
saying things like that. Yeah,
He could say it. I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
I'm a Jew, so I could say it.
you can say it, but I'm saying he is a special character for sure. Like his
Oh, yeah.
comedy, he can be raw and
He's got a big heart too. He's cried on
he's
my
really
podcast.
funny. Yeah,
He's gotten dark. He went through some tough times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't grow up with trauma like
Oh
they-
my God, yeah, I did.
You did?
I grew up with trauma. Look at me.
Okay, what was your rocky story, your
I don't really, I hint about things, but it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's it's look, all I'll say is you have to let it go. If you don't let your past go, if you don't let the things because it will just haunt you. You can't, they always say you can't live in the past, depression,
Right.
you can't live in the future, it's like anxiety. But you can. I'm learning to just live in the now. There's still things that, I'm like, and I just say, no, stop it. You're right here, right now.
Okay.
And it's certainly, it makes you who you are in a lot of ways, but it also can destroy you if you allow it.
Right.
So you could take it and go, hey, I survived. I did that. I had, and when you're young, you're like, did I have it the worst? No, there's people that have it way worse.
Right.
So then that makes you kind of feel like, oh, then it's not that bad, but that's not fair.
That's not fair. But
No.
did it motivate you? I see like a lot of comedians
It
make
motivated
a career out of like,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
since I never felt unconditional love, I always felt like I had to make people laugh, do impressions. I do tons of impressions and jokes and like, look at me, I'm funny, right? You like me.
Right.
And that eventually you have to be like, hey, you know what? I'm enough. I'm not going to I'm not
Right.
going to be a wind-up doll and a clown. And I like to entertain, though. I really enjoy making people laugh.
Yeah.
But,
Is it lonely at the same time?
well,
Kind of like,
oh, sure. I live alone. I have 2 dogs. No, but we all are lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But, when you have unconditional love, when someone loves you, your wife really loves you?
Yeah.
Unconditionally.
yeah,
She looks at you and go, I love you.
she does.
She does. And
Yeah.
you believe it.
I believe it.
See, I believe it. I don't know if you would. No, but like that is an amazing feeling. Mm-hmm. But the feeling of like approval and instant gratification and adoration,
Right.
those are very equal in the feeling. But one is sustainable, the love, and the other one just kind of goes away.
It's a drug
goes
you
away.
need.
Right. And so if you don't learn how to love yourself, you don't learn how to take it, and I'm still working on that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm way better than I was. I didn't know I looked in the mirror once. I swear to God, I wasn't even on drugs. I looked in the mirror and I go, who the fuck are you? And I looked at myself for a good 10 seconds and I go, all right, let's go to bed. I just went to bed. And I go, wow, that was weird that I did that. And I asked my therapist, is that weird that I talked to myself? She goes, no, it's not weird. But
Yeah.
it's kind of really sad that you said that.
So your early success, you were very successful very quickly. I think most people.
Not really.
No?
I mean, I wasn't an overnight success at all.
Right. No, and I don't think overnight success really exists. But I'm saying like pretty young, you're like a hit show. Everybody's right. Like everybody's raving about your performance. You're considered right.
We weren't around social media.
Right.
It was right before.
Right.
So I didn't see that. And I didn't know how I was doing other than some people would say, hey, you're really, but it wasn't until later at like conventions and online. And then when you see articles written about me and then I'm like, oh, wow. So I almost found out later, which was probably good.
Yeah.
Because if you start thinking about it, I don't think I was in the right headspace to deal with success.
Well,
I think I would have been, I don't know what would happen. Maybe I would have been more cocky. I would have been, I don't know. But it's nice to see later on that you still have, fans and people who appreciate your work and,
right.
Did
you have a love-hate relationship with the show? Meaning like when you are like...
Sure. Look, I love the show. It made me famous.
Yeah.
But, poor me. But like, after shaving your head 2 hours every morning at 5 a.m. for a couple of years, you're kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I would shave it and I'd be good for like the week.
Right.
I didn't realize you're shaving it every day, sometimes twice, and they're putting 3 layers of makeup so you don't have a hairline.
Right.
And I started getting neck problems because I couldn't rest my head because of getting makeup on it.
What a pain.
Don't rest your head. Don't lean your head back. Don't do it. And it was just really, it was tough. It was tough. I'm not going to lie to you.
What was the shooting schedule?
Well, Tom had the worst because he was in every fucking scene. But he was also younger and he didn't have as many lines. But it was hard, man, for him to do that. And so I would work, maybe sometimes I'd work every day. Sometimes I work 3 days a week. Every once in a while, 2 days a week.
Yeah.
But my days would be full and speeches and things.
Long speeches. You had the biggest.
Yeah. So, if I didn't have to shave my head, it would have been way easier. Way easier. Because I added up the hours once and it was something like 35 hours, 30 to 35 hours in the makeup trailer just a month. Just without working.
Right.
So in 10 months, 350 hours of just getting makeup on.
And it's not a movie that you say, okay, I'm going to do this for a month. This is like, it has no ending.
10 months a year. We did 22, 23 episodes.
Yeah.
But like, look, it gave me money so I didn't have to do anything.
Right.
Like any other, other crappy projects. It put me on the map. It was huge. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Your Smallville tenure was long. I think you were there 7 seasons.
7 years. You did your research.
7 years. I also watched the show. I remember watching the show.
Did you hate it?
No. Growing up was it was one of those shows that, especially your character, I thought like always like, the bad guys are usually a little more interesting than especially Superman is a little bland. We'll see what James Gunn does with it. But it's like, oh, it's perfect. Who relates to perfect? But your character was fun. But it had all the high school stuff that, as you grow up, is like
Freak of the Week and this and that.
So I get tired of like that repetition.
Sure.
But I thought it was a staple show of definitely the late 90s and beginning of the 2000s.
Thanks.
Yeah, and do you still have a relationship? Obviously with Tom, I saw that you have now the podcast of like rewatching it and all that.
It's called Talkville. I am forced to watch every episode of Smallville because I never saw most of the episodes.
Yeah.
And I review them. And so it's me and Tom and then my engineer Ryan who also helps out.
Right.
So we kind of give our opinions and like people make the joke of the show's great except when Rosenbaum shits on it.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you, and now we have t-shirts, Rosenbaum shitting on the show.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't shit on the show. I'm just very honest. I'm like, this doesn't work. Here's why it doesn't work.
Right.
Or I'll be like, this one's great. But I'm very honest. I don't bullshit. I won't lie.
And did you keep the relationship with the other cast
Yeah,
members?
Kristen Kruk, I'm close with. Like if I called her and I said, hey, I want you to be on the episode. She's like, sure.
Yeah.
We see each other at cons and we hang out. We'll have dinner. I don't really talk to Sam much. We try to get him on the podcast. I don't know where he is. Allison obviously is in prison.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
Yeah,
how crazy was like the whole Allison Mack?
I mean, I really don't talk about it, but it was crazy. I mean, it's like I've already talked about it a lot. But like for instance,
did you realize?
I didn't know her.
The HBO show later, or like did you know what's happening?
Well, I heard all the stuff coming out,
right?
But I was like, wow. And I always knew, she's a great actor.
Yeah.
And she, like everyone else, she needed attention, but I didn't, she got involved with something that when you first look at the first episode of that show, you're like, I could use that.
Absolutely.
Some love. And
that's
and
what I thought, is like everybody
but then there
found
comes
the secret sauce.
Right. And then you go, well, something's...
There's always something weird in this
good
self-help.
deeds.
Yeah. But I think like actors in a way, because they are...
No good deed goes unpunished.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. But they are vulnerable as a profession, right? Yeah. The better the actor, the more like, okay, I have to put myself in position. So I think, are you more susceptible to things like that?
Susceptible. Yeah, it just... I mean, there's some really bright people that were a part of that.
Yeah.
And Kristen got out right away. She was like, when she felt something, she was out.
Right.
She's smart. She was like, goodbye, not getting involved in this. And, but some people, they don't see the light, or they get too caught up in it. And I don't know what that world is like. So I can't imagine, the horrors.
I can't imagine.
Anyway,
I mean, for people who have no idea what we're talking about, watch The Vow on HBO and see how that the next
pretty.
But with Allison, one thing that it was interesting with the show, I don't know if you remember this, probably you do, but Mark Warshaw was like a writer in the show.
I remember him.
And he was given the chance to start a trend, and Smallville, I think, is the first big show that does something like it, of transmedia. Basically starting another story. Now we know with superheroes, like we have comics and tons of like crossing storylines, but Smallville was the first one where like Allison had her own storyline online as the what was her character? Chloe's Chronicle. And so you would follow her.
Yeah, I remember that.
Didn't happen in the show, so for the mega fans, they can go deeper and
you saw some of those things?
Right. So you would watch it online. She would post her, like, actually the articles that were in the show, but you wouldn't see in the show. So he created basically her own storyline for her. And I was like, oh, this is the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Media.
I don't know. I just know that it was, look, we're all shocked. I mean,
yeah.
You don't think it's going to happen. I think she's got a big heart. And I think that, she'll get through it, and she's, getting help, and she's I feel for her. I feel for all the people involved and the victims, and so all you could hope for is that the bad people stay away, and
of course,
and I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say.
Yeah. So when you leave Smallville, what is the dream at the moment? Do you want to act in movies? Do you want to keep acting
right now?
Yeah, well, back then and right now, yeah, for sure.
I just had enough in terms of, people say, he left the show. Well, I didn't leave the show. My contract was 6 years. I did 7.
Yeah.
And then I told them, I said, I'm not coming back. And the president at the time, Peter Roth, took me to dinner and tried to, you got to do this. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
I mean, the show was kind of like the two of you were the show, right? Like, so
and John Glover was gone. I already killed my father. I'm gone. Kristen's gone. The creators are gone. I'm like, gone. This ship is sinking. I'm out.
Did you see that? Yeah, the trend going down.
Yeah, and the showrunners, the new showrunners who came in are awesome people and very talented and did a great job, did the best they could, but they were missing a lot of integral components to that show.
Right.
And you can only do so much. It's like, you can only drive. You got to drive with 4 tires.
Yeah.
If you have 3. You gotta, how are we gonna do this?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a long show. It's like, how many?
Yeah, and I just felt like my storyline was done. I've done all I can. They weren't giving me anything to like, this is what's gonna happen, and nothing sounded interesting.
Yeah,
but I came back for the series finale. And that was that.
But
I wanted to.
What do you?
I was like, I want to go direct. I want to write. I want to create. I want to play music. I want to just live. And I think a lot of people forget to live,
right?
Because they're all so caught up in work.
Yeah,
I feel bad for movie stars. I do. I don't feel bad for them. They're billionaires, and they're like, and maybe they're happy, but I don't ever want to work that hard. I never want to work that much. I do not. And look, if I have to work, I'm working. Yeah. I'll do anything if I'm broke. If I need the money, I'm working.
It's an American thing.
But to me, if somebody paid me $20 million and I did 4 movies in a row,
yeah,
I'm leaving. I'm leaving for 5-10 years, and if something extraordinary comes my way, I'll read it on the beach. Mm-hmm. But like, people have to work; they have to keep busy, and it's important to be busy because you will go a little crazy.
Yeah.
But also if you don't have a passion, then I think you're doomed. If you just are work, but you don't have a passion on the side, whether it makes you money or whether it doesn't need to make you money. Like music. I love music. I love writing. I love singing. I love playing.
You have the artistic brain, like you need your creative outlets, and you have a lot.
Yeah. And I think of things. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a book. And I can't tell you the concept. It's ridiculous and funny, but I said, I'm pitching this.
It's a novel? Or
Nope.
Oh, okay.
And I pitched it, and I sold it. And we're working on it now. And I'm like, cool, I want to do that. And then I'm like, you know what? I love horror movies. So one of my best friends, John Heater, who's Napoleon Dynamite. I go, John, he goes, yeah. I go, you want to do a show? He goes, what kind of show? And I go, and I pitched it, and he loved it. And I had already pitched the producer. He said, let's do it. So we just signed our deal, and we're going to do like this. It's kind of a reality show, but it's cool. It's something we want to do.
Right.
And just writing stuff and, being creative. But most importantly, like being able to enjoy my friends and like be at home with my dogs and watch movies and go to the beach or go bowling or go to Buca de Beppo.
Right.
Man, I'm a kid at heart. I'm like this inner child who just wants to have a good time. Like every time people are leaving at night when they come over to my house and we're all hanging out, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go." I'm like, "Well, let's watch one more doc." I'm always, there's a certain excitement about like I'm just like everything's exciting to me.
Yeah,
and it wasn't for a while because I hit a rut
with the show.
No, not with the show. With life.
Oh, okay.
I just right before COVID, it was like 2018, 19. I just had some troubled times. I think for 4 years. Until the last year. It wasn't until this last year, and I would say around September, October of last year, I turned it around. Because I felt like I was not in a great place, kind of going through the motions, not enjoying life like I should. And then I kept working at it and figuring out what the problem was. And for me, it was, I had anxiety since I'm a kid. I was horribly anxious, and it was debilitating, and I didn't realize it, but it was really just putting a cramp in my style, and everything was overwhelming all the time, and I just thought it was part of me.
Yeah.
And so finally
you were able
addressed it, and I feel like a different person now. I feel like I'm the same person, but like I don't get nervous like I did. I don't focus like, oh my God, this is gonna fail. I'm gonna look like an idiot.
So
I don't care.
You were like that, like growing up, like go to school and that's how you feel?
Everything. I lived my life in fear since I was a child. Since I was a child, I lived my life in fear.
Yeah.
Fear of everything.
So how do you
people
become
finding
an
out I'm
actor?
colorblind. People finding out I'm a phony. People finding out I'm not smart. People finding out that it was one thing after another. And I still have issues, but I'm letting it go. I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to be 80 and do this. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. You don't want to hang out with me. You don't like me. You don't think I'm talented. All right, I'm moving on. Oh, wow, I sucked tonight.
Right.
I didn't do well. This interview blew.
Yeah.
All right. Next one.
Yeah.
I rear view mirror, man. Rip that shit off. You just, you can't control everything. That's the thing. You can't control everything.
But how do you decide to be an actor? Because like you're putting yourself in a position where everybody's going to be judging you all the time.
I know. And you know why?
Yeah.
Because people didn't accept me for who I was. And so, I mean, not even my family, I don't think, And so I feel like I hid behind, like in the I created a persona.
This roles, yeah.
And when people started going, "Oh, you were really good in that play," I'm like, okay, I'm not being me is good. And I just started playing the part, playing this larger than life, and and one day you look in the mirror,
right, and
you go, "Who are you?" And you really don't know because you've been doing it so long, and it's not like you're a devious. I mean, I have demons, but
right?
Like it's not like you just don't know who you are. So you don't like, you're
Yeah.
trying to be a good person, but you're like, well, what person am I? And so finally I go, okay, this is who you are. You're just a larger version of that kid.
Right.
But now you can handle these situations and you're not going to let shit get to you.
When you're wearing that persona where it looked like now you don't wear it as much, but probably because
Yeah.
you're always doing something public. Does that affect your relationship with people, friends, like a partner, a potential partner,
What?
all of that?
Does what?
Like wearing that persona, that shield that you protect yourself with.
Sure. And I still have that shield. That shield doesn't go away, but I take it off sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think I feel guilty when it doesn't work out with a girl, with a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I stay in it too long, or I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to. And, you know, that's an issue. But I also think that seeing a lot of dysfunction growing up, and I kind of want to find my person.
Right.
And I think in the past, I found them, but it was the wrong time. There's been a couple that I messed up.
Yeah.
And you don't really learn until you hit rock bottom. When something's your fault, that's when you hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose something that you really don't want to lose, like you really love something and you let it go, and it's your fault, there's nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
And so I promise I'm not going to do that again. So sometimes I'll stay in something a little longer to make sure it's not just,
It's not just
you know,
you.
yeah.
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 But also you have to be, I feel like in order to be with another person, you have to be good with yourself. Like it's,
Yeah,
if
they
you
always
don't
say
work
that, you
on
have to
that,
love
right?
yourself.
Or-
I
yeah.
don't love myself. I'll be honest with you, I don't love myself. I don't go, fuck, I love myself. And I'm so fucking. I think I'm deeply flawed. I think incredibly giving and a great friend.
That's why you like Rocky.
Yep. But I also think I definitely have my issues.
Right.
Like everyone else does.
Everybody.
But I'm working on them. I'm working on them, and you know, I think as long as you try to be as honest as you can.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I was dating someone years ago, and they said, "Well, what is it about me?" I go, "Nothing. It's not. It has nothing to do with you." She's like, "No, there's something about me." And no, it's me. I mean, I could have sat there and said, "I just am not attracted to you. I don't know what it is, but I'm not feeling that connection, that passion, that romantic side with you.
Right.
There's not chemistry." But why tell someone that?
Yeah.
Because you're crushing them. As much as they want to hear it, they don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah. And at the same time, it is the same. It is you. If you don't feel that, so it is.
Yeah, it is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the way it is. And you could probably floss your teeth because your breath was mostly bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Um.
That's a number one for me. I don't care how beautiful someone is inside out. If they have bad breath,
Yeah. Hygiene.
out. Hygiene's important.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to walk around with stinky balls.
Yeah.
It's not fair. Clean your butt crack.
So
Clean between your toes. Trim your nails. You know?
I promised myself I wasn't gonna do that, but now you put it there for me. So how do you get along with Bobby Lee? If hygiene is your
God.
number one,
Well, we don't spend a lot of time together.
yeah, you don't share
I do his
a space.
podcast. He does mine. You know, occasionally I come to a birthday dinner
Right.
with other celebrities that I never knew he was friends with. And,
Yeah.
and that's how, you know, but yeah.
So okay, the skeleton wants to ask you a few questions, like more like rapid fire questions.
Let's do
about
it.
Rocky.
Let's do it. Here we go. Skeleton.
All right, here we go.
Feed me.
Yes. If Lex Luthor and Rocky Balboa had a face-off in the ring, who do you think would come out victorious?
I think Lex would use some kind of brilliant scheme to find a way to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
He would find a way.
He wouldn't confront him directly.
Right. He would find a way to
His
make it work.
kryptonite.
Yeah.
He will find.
So Lex.
All right, next question. If you could recast any character from the Rocky series with your fellow Smallville cast members, who would you choose and why?
That's a tough one. Who would I mean, the cast is so brilliant. Paulie, who would I replace? I mean, it'd be fun to replace. I mean, could you imagine if Tom was Rocky? I was Apollo Creed. John Glover, my father, was Mickey.
Yeah. Had to be.
Kristen Kruk was Tyre Shire or Adrian.
Adrian.
Paulie would be Pete Ross. I don't know. It sounds terrible.
That's a great picture.
Do you know how to throw a punch?
Yeah, I do. I boxed.
Yeah.
So I know how to throw punches. I know how to, I do. In fact, I did an episode, the show called Breaking In. I did the first season, and Mike Tyson was on the show, and I went in there, and I was just like, I was like, oh my God, Mike Tyson, boom, boom. And I was throwing all these, I was doing all this shit, and he goes afterwards, he goes, hey, you boxed before? I'm like, what? He goes, you box. I'm like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, yeah, I could tell when the way you throw a punch and everything. That's you move the way you move. It was good. I could tell you box. Okay. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Cool. I thought you were saying he knocked me out.
And I'm gonna punch you in your face since you know how to box. You think you're better than me? All right, next.
Right.
What movies have you rewatched the most besides Rocky?
Besides Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 4, Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars, Alien, The Thing, Exorcist, The Omen, Exorcist 3, Return of the Living Dead, Evil Dead 2. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a specific taste. Just saying all of that. Yeah. Cool.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Were you a huge comic book fan growing up?
No, I had Fangoria magazine. I was a horror movie fan.
Okay.
So I wasn't a big comic book fan.
Because you ended up doing The Flash and all of...
And Martin X
Yeah.
from Guardians was actually, even though they cut me out a lot,
Yeah.
it was still fun to be a part of. But that character, Martin X, was actually one of the original Guardians in the comic book.
Right.
So, they had plans to show my powers and all this stuff, and, that
Yeah.
got lost in the edit. But
And-
what are you going to do?
How do you know James Gunn?
We met many years ago. We were both I was there because my friend Dax Shepard was doing Without a Paddle, and his friend Seth Green was doing Without a Paddle. And the movie was playing, and we went to get a Coke or something, and we started talking. And then we met again on a plane, and we hit it off. And this has been almost probably 20 years ago.
Right. This is
And
pretty...
we've been friends ever since.
Wow.
So, I just was at his bachelor party and his wedding, and I've known him a long time. I've seen
You saw him take off.
I've seen I've seen his lowest points. I've seen his highest.
Right.
And he's seen mine.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember the
So
movie
he's-
Arthur with Dudley Moore?
Yeah.
And they John Gielgud. And John Gielgud he plays Hobson, and he's dying, and he goes, and Liza Minnelli says, "Have you seen doctors?" He goes, "Yes, and they have seen me."
Right.
And that was all he said, like, "I'm dying."
Right.
Anyway, I don't know why I said that. I do a
But-
good Dudley Moore.
Yeah, you do a lot of great impressions.
It's like, remember when he's out with the prostitute? He goes,
Yeah.
"Tell me something about yourself." Well, when I was 6-year-old, my mother died. Oh, God damn it. Don't they know what that does to children? When I was 11, my father left. So you had 6 relatively good years. Anyway, next question.
How was being a part of that Guardians of the Galaxy world?
Great. It was great. I was the first one. The second one I was there for a couple weeks. This last one I was there, same, and got to work with Stallone and everybody. Hang out with
Yeah.
became friends with Bautista and who's on Smallville. And you know what? You know how I hadn't seen Bautista since he was on Smallville, and this was years ago.
Right. Before he was... yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's an announcement. I'm about to fly out. I was at a con. We were, so I didn't even know he was there. And it said, Michael Rosenbaum, please come to the back. And I was like, what the hell do they need me? And the guy greeted me, goes, hey, Dave Bautista is here. And he asked me to come and get you before you leave. He wanted to say hello. I thought that was so sweet. And I went there and we hugged it out and we talked. And he ended up doing the podcast a couple of times.
Yeah, he's become a
He's
huge
a
star
huge
too.
star. Hopefully he'll come back in the podcast. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Big.
That's awesome.
Dave, don't do that to me. We've been through a lot, Dave.
So did that experience reignite a little bit that love for acting? Because if you had good experiences?
I didn't get to act enough to
Okay.
really ignite it. But, when I was on set and I was watching everybody else, I go, I should be doing this.
I miss it. Yeah.
I can do this. I can do exactly what folks are doing here. I belong here.
Right.
And don't forget it. I did have that thought.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to run through
This
my
is real
final.
sand. Your feet are sandy and also hairy.
Yes.
Does your wife say, "Will you just trim your Harry and the Henderson feet"?
No.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I can see your balls, by the way, through the shorts.
Yeah?
No.
I was going for that. No.
can't.
Okay. All right. Tell me a couple more things. One about your band. How do you put that together?
Don't turn it off yet. All right, look,
Yeah.
a lot of actors have bands. I
Right.
have to say that this is different. This is like, I really think we're putting out some good music. There's some great songs. The new album's called Never Is What It Is. The
Yeah.
band's called Sunspin.
Sunspin.
You go to sunspin.com for Zooms and merch, and we play virtual shows every week, and we've been, our song's been in some shows, and I love it. It's a passion. I really enjoy music.
Do you write the songs?
I write all the songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you. Yeah.
So
How do you,
I
you
went
say
from-
that you don't work a lot, but when you start like listing stuff, it's like,
But
yeah,
I do things that I really have fun doing.
right.
So it doesn't seem like work.
That
that's the key.
yes. All right. So two more questions. Like leave a question for the next guest. Something that I want to try now. Like what would you ask someone, like about their movies and their passion, something that I could ask any guest?
I would say, do you really, truly, if you looked in the mirror right now, would you say you loved what you do? Do you really love what you do? And are you okay with being alone or not working as much? Could you deal with that?
Wow. That's deep.
Because that's like, a lot of these people are like, I have to work.
Right.
They're going to go crazy. They're always on set. Like, I'm like, oh my God, another movie. I wonder how they decompress. I wonder if they get depressed. Some get depressed. I'm not working. I don't know what to do. And, that's the good thing. I think a lot of actors mostly are actors. That's what they do. So when they're done, maybe they don't write. Maybe they don't play music. Maybe they don't,
Right.
create and
That's
do all
their
these
own-
things. So they're like, that's what I do. That's what I love. So I'm sure there's that.
Yeah. So how do you answer those questions for you?
I would say I love doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I love playing music. Working my way back into the acting thing. I've always loved it. So if you always have loved something, you just got to make sure you love it for the right reason. Was I doing it for approval? Was I doing it because I really enjoyed it?
Right.
So I think I'm good. I just have to see if it's something I really want to do for me. But if it's the right thing, I would think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the alone question?
What was that?
Are you okay being alone?
I have my dogs, and I have my friends, and all you have is memories in the end.
Yeah.
That kind of rhymed.
Yeah.
You hear about that?
You-
I have my dogs, I have my friends, and and memories are all we have in the end.
That's
That should be a song.
yeah, beautiful. That's for your next.
That's a
next
country song. I got my dog and I got my friends.
All right, and then if your life was a movie, what would be the title?
What's that one long title movie that just came out that won all the Oscars?
Like Everything Everywhere All at Once?
It would be some things, some of the time,
Somewhere.
not somewhere, not all at once.
Right. Awesome.
Something like that.
Thank you, Michael, for doing this.
This has been fun.
So much fun.
Did you have
Thank
fun?
Yes, of course. I love it.